Look at the state of this hair, man. This quarantine is peak. Hey guys, welcome back to the Study 2 project. My name's Shane and I'm a recently qualified doctor and neuroscience supervisor at Cambridge University. And I make videos about medicine, science, learning, studying, productivity and all of that jazz. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about the science of productivity, and I'm going to be using the to-do list and the Pomodoro technique as examples of how we can maximize our productivity and happiness using science. So the first thing I want to talk about is the to-do list. Now this is an age-old concept of determining all the tasks that you want to do, determining the order in which you want to do it, then noting it down on a piece of paper or an app. Then you go about your day, finishing all your tasks and checking them off. There's nothing groundbreaking about this technique, but what makes it so effective in maximizing your productivity whilst also maximizing your happiness? Well, Dr. David Cohen seems to think there are three reasons behind this. One is that noting down things and the tasks that you need to do helps to relieve overall anxiety. Secondly, it provides an overall plan and structure to your day. And lastly, it helps you to keep a track of all your accomplishments throughout the day, week, or month. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has a to-do list to some extent, but what are the most important aspects? The first thing is actually physically noting down the tasks that you need to be doing. Why is this important and why can't you just have a mental list of tasks? Well, it's proposed that actually noting down the tasks using a piece of paper and pen or an app actually helps to relieve the anxiety that you associate with that task. It essentially frees up your mental capacity to focus on the task at hand instead of holding on to the anxiety and the worry behind this other uncompleted, unfinished task. Another reason why it's so important to note things down is down to the way our memory works. Our memory of the tasks that we haven't completed yet is much better than our memory of the tasks we have completed. So when you get to the end of the day and you don't have a physical record but just a mental list, you'll essentially remember all the tasks that you haven't been able to complete and feel quite unhappy about it, quite unaccomplished and not very content. However, if you did have a physical record like an app or a piece of paper with all the tasks that you've ticked things off with, you'll essentially get to it and realize, you know what, I've actually had quite a productive day and I've managed to do quite a lot of things. So this is why noting things down seems to be so important. It helps to relieve overall anxiety associated with each task, and it also helps to keep a record of your accomplishments, which contributes to overall happiness and satisfaction when you get to the end of the day. The second feature of the to-do list that's quite essential to do is the physical act of checking things off as you finish the task. It's proposed that the act of checking things off releases a molecule called dopamine in a part of the brain known as the ventral striatum. Now, the release of this molecule in this part of the brain is proposed to contribute to motivation, reward, and enjoyment. So essentially, as you go about your day, finishing your task, checking these things off will help you feel overall a little bit happier, more motivated, and you'll enjoy the process. So much so, it's going to help your productiveness throughout the day by motivating you to complete more and more tasks. So whilst we all have a to-do list to some extent, it's important to incorporate these features, which is physically noting down the tasks that you need to do and actually checking things off as you go about it. So the last thing I want to talk about is the Pomodoro technique. Now this technique has recently become very fashionable amongst the blogging community, but it's actually been around since the 1980s when a man called Francesco Cirillo came up with this Pomodoro technique to help with his university studies. So the technique is quite simple in its most basic form. You essentially sit down to do your work, you set a timer for 25 minutes, when the timer goes off, you take a 3 to 5 minute break and then you repeat the whole process over again. So Pomodoro in Italian actually means tomato, and Francesco named this the Pomodoro technique after his tomato-shaped timer that he used for this technique. So the Pomodoro technique in its full formal form consists of 6 main steps. 1. You identify the tasks that need to be done. You sit down, set a timer for 25 minutes and begin working. You finish the work when the timer runs out. You put a mark next to wherever you finished and you count the number of checks or marks that you've made. If you find that you have less than 4 marks, you essentially take a 3 to 5 minute short break. And then afterwards, you go back to step 2 and you complete the whole process again until you find that actually you've made 4 checks or 4 marks. When you've done this, you take a longer break. So instead of the 3 to 5 minute break, you now take a 15 to 30 minute break. So what features of this technique makes it quite good and why does it work? So the act of actually planning things out, just as with the to-do list, helps with overall anxiety relief, and helps to provide some plan and structure to your day. And making a record of each work session helps you to gain a sense of accomplishment and realize, you know what, I'm progressing throughout my day quite nicely and working through all the tasks quite efficiently. So the element of planning and recording seems to be quite vital in this Pomodoro technique. Right, so there you have it. That was the science behind the to-do list and the Pomodoro technique. Hopefully you guys found this video very useful, and if you have, you might like to check out my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Shaene, and whilst you're at it, you might as well check out my Instagram, which is also Dr. Shaene. You can also find me on Twitter, TikTok, and all of that jazz. But that's it from me for today, and I'll see you guys next time.